In this video, we're going to talk about the 1-0 victory of Manchester United versus Fulham at Old Trafford last week on Friday as the Premier League open day game. Casemiro's renaissance. So you can clearly see this is not the Casemiro from last season. He's lost a lot of weight. He's looking sharp. He is starting to look like the defender or the defensive midfielder that we saw on his first season with Manchester United. He was sharp. His tackles were nice and clean, and he's contributing a lot more with the possession and also the attack play. And it also feels like the current system fits him, um, where you have where you have a sort of superiority in the midfield. Um, Last season we played a lot of 4-3-2-1 sort of formation, and then it was a lot of transition from one end of the field to the other end. But then with the current sort of more fluid structure and like the false nine, Mount or Bruno, whoever is occupying the false nine spot, is also dropping down and creating that midfield superiority. So it's not like a tennis match like from one end to the other. So there's a lot more um, security in the midfield, which lets Casemiro play his game. He's not the best of the runners, so he doesn't have to cover all the ground, and that is done by Mainu, Mount, and Bruno. So he can just do his defensive duties. So if he continues like that, we're gonna have I don't think we would have any problem. I was skeptical at the towards the end of the last season if Casemiro is gonna be a starter, if even like does he even have the qualities to be a squad player for Man United. But something has popped in him. Maybe it's getting dropped by the Brazilian squad. He's put in the effort between the seasons. He looks really sharp. If this is something he can retain, and if also Eric Ten Hag manages him properly by just playing him one game a week and then substituting him maybe on the 60th minute and giving some minutes for Toby Collier, then I think we're going to have the best of him this season. Mazraoui's massive debut. So, as we saw in the match preview video, I expected Mazraoui to start on the right side because it's a more natural position for him. He also plays in the left, but then he's played a lot more on the right, and then it's easier to, since he just joined Man United 1 week before, it's easier for him to play in a role he's a lot more familiar with. So I think that was my reasoning for Dallo as a left back and Mazraoui was on the right back. And he did deliver. He looked super comfortable on the ball, off the ball. He's made some nice tackles. He was super aggressive when we had possession and when we were taking the ball up the pitch. Um, and in addition to that, it's his he also did his defensive duties really well. So if there were a lot of players when not happy with Van Bissaka leaving and Mazraoui joining, he's actually started changing their mind. He's not such a bad um, alternative to Van Bissaka. He's a bit more better on the ball, but that's clearly, yeah, that's we've seen it when he was at Ajax, when he was at Bayern Munich, when he even played against us last season in Champions League. So yeah, he's if he continues this, he's going to be a real big competition for Dallo, and that's a nice thing to have. Xerxes makes a mark. So Xerxes has scored on his first game for Manchester United in the league. I think first off, it takes a lot of pressure off you. You can see somebody like Hoyland coming in last season and not being able to score the first goal, and that's sort of plays in your mind and it becomes a thing. So he's just ticked it off the box on his first match at Old Trafford. So that's a good sign. But what's even better was how he was playing. Initially, when he started playing, I was like, oh my god, maybe he's dropping down too much. Is there a real need for the striker? But then you can clearly see his qualities. Because of him dropping down, he is sort of doing an additional playmaker role of just getting the ball, moving it to the sides, and making that slow run into the box, and actually not even slow, making the right run into the box. That's how he scored that goal. This is something McTominay was doing, but then he's just doing it in a better level. You can see when he scored that goal as well, McTominay was the person who was in the box to sort of do that poaching. But then Xerxes is definitely an upgrade on McTominay. He's a lot more physical. Definitely much more technical than Scott McTominay. Um, and this is going to be great news for players like Garnacho and Rashford, because he's going to give them those balls. He's going to drop down to the midfield, pull the central defenders off their position. If it happens, it gives Garnacho and Rashford the space to make those adjacent runs. But if the central defenders are not dropping down to the midfield, then him dropping down actually gives us a superiority in the midfield. So, which is also again a great thing. Overall, a great start, and with him now getting some minutes and also looking a bit more fit, maybe he could start the game with Brighton. We never know. Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez put in a solid performance. It was a great game for Harry. He was good on the air. He was good on the ball with possession. He made a really important save when Fulham were counterattacking. Um, he was physical. He was carrying the ball and progressing it fairly well. I think if this is a Harry Maguire that we are getting, especially against quite a competent side like Fulham, uh, I am okay with him being in our squad, around the squad, and contributing and providing that support from the bench. Obviously, when De Ligt and Euro are fit and fully on board, I don't expect Harry Maguire to start every game. But then it was a good performance. I am really happy. This is not the Harry um, that we've been used to in the red and black jersey. So um, yeah, I'm very happy with them. But then also Alessandro Martinez, last couple of games, um, he looked a bit shaky. Was clear that he didn't have a preseason because he was playing for Copa America. Um, at the start of the game, he was a bit edgy. You could clearly see that Traore just got past him, like, and um, it was, and I think that made him realize. And then he was on the ball. Like, the next time Traore tried the same stuff, Martinez did really send him to the gym. Um, so it was a show of character by both Martinez and Maguire. You could clearly see a considerable improvement in the defense, sheer stats, the number of shots we had on the season opener last season against Wolves was somewhere in the early 20s, and then this time we had what, 9 shots on target or something like that. So a real solid performance, and hoping to see a lot more of it. A slow start or a bad performance? There are a couple of players who were not looking that sharp, and to everybody's surprise, despite Bruno contributing really well, I felt like he was not as effective as he usually is, clearly from the multiple option, or the multiple chances he missed in the game to score. So that was a bit like, okay, is this a bad game for Bruno, or is he, yeah, losing the edge? Um, the second one is also about Mount. He was very good on the ball. He was pressing heavily. He was playing as a false nine along with Bruno up top. But for some reason, it just didn't feel like, okay, next game Mount can start there again. It just felt very edgy. It's like he's. It looked like he was doing the right things, but was he doing the right things? Was he actually contributing to the game? Yeah, and Ahmad also had a slightly silent performance. I'm not sure if this continues for a couple of games. Will he be starting, or is Garnacho gonna edge past him? Maybe one other name that wasn't mentioned here is Rashford. So um, I have two minds about Rashford. One is, yes, he's a great player. He has the ability to do well, but he's also missing people to support him, like how, like the 30 goal season, if you look at him, Shaw was fit, so we're missing a proper a left back who can overlap for Rashford. And we're also playing a false nine, and uh, we're not playing that technical number nine, which Marcus usually likes. For example, when Tony Marshall was playing, he was looking better, and maybe so when Xerxes was playing, Rashford actually started looking much better than when Mount and Bruno were acting as false nine. So maybe that could be the thing. So there were a couple of players who didn't have a great performance. Maybe good to keep an eye on them and see how um, Ten Hag is fixing these small challenges. If you like the content, please click the like button. Also, drop down your comments and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one. Bye bye.